It's a really cool building here behind us. Today we are back in the state of Florida. We are actually in Marianna, Florida. A couple of things happened here. One, this was a major battle during the Civil War, but that's really not what I'm here to see. The actual subject matter of today's video is a little more dark and grim. Victorian era round house here behind me. This is the Russ House. This is actually the Marianna, Florida Visitor Center that I'm at. One thing really cool about it is that house has been here since the Civil War, and the Civil War here in Marianna began right out in front of it. In fact, this corner right here, this is called Eli Corner, and now it's a major intersection. But on September the 27th of 1864 at 11 a.m., the Confederate cavalry under Colonel William Montgomery formed a line going across the road in the exact spot that path was, this way. The Union soldiers approached from the west, and this was the start of the Civil War in Marianna, Florida. This was the fight at Eli Corner. Ultimately, in that battle, the Confederates were outnumbered. They retreated further into town, and the Union soldiers followed close behind them, fighting the entire way. Again, though, we're not really here to talk about the Civil War history. There's something else here that I want to talk about. The actual subject matter that I want to talk about today is right here behind me. Right across the street here, there's a fenced-in area, and inside of that fenced-in area, it was a reform school. This was the Florida School for Boys. It was also known as the Arthur G. Dozier School for Boys. It opened in 1900, January the 1st of 1900 to be exact. For a long time, it was the largest reform school in the entire United States. For the 100 years that the reform school was open, it gained a huge reputation for abuse, beatings, torture, rapes, and even the murders of students by the staff members. Just a few short years ago, the fence was erected around it because the school was closed and it was officially announced a crime scene. Authorities discovered as many as 55 bodies on campus. So we can't get inside of the fenced-in area, but right around the corner from me, there are a few buildings still standing that were part of the school that are not fenced in. This is one of the buildings. Boys would have come here for minor offenses such as petty theft, missing school, or running away from home. I don't know, I'm kind of wanting to say these may have been some old school buildings, but I'm not sure. So I was looking at the buildings when kids came out of the building that was behind me, which looked as if it was a newer building. I stopped what I was doing and went in the school and went up to the front door to make sure it was okay. Then I look at these buildings and they told me the story and what happened. This is Boot Hill Cemetery. The victims are buried right here. Some of the bodies were identified by DNA testing and they were able to be reburied with their families, but these graves are still all of the victims that are unknown. They don't even have names on their headstones, it's just numbers. Just recently, several months back, Hurricane Michael came through here and it actually messed up their graves and they were flooded and not buried anymore. So a local funeral home came and picked up the bodies and put them in new caskets and brought them back. They cleaned up the area, and they just recently reburied them. It's a very sad story. They had to bring in cadaver dogs to search and help find any other buried bodies of students. Ironically, I found this place. I was searching for something else. I was going to stop at a cavern that was supposedly nearby here, but Hurricane Michael had done damage to it, and so it was closed. So I pulled out and I headed up the road a little bit further just to see what was around when I ran into this place, and now I'm glad I did, because I got to see and hear the story of this Dozier boys' home. They have since built a prison right next to the school. I've come over to the back side of the building because the other side of the building is the school, and obviously they don't want you taking pictures of the school. This was part of the boys' home. There's a metal railing here, and you can see there's a set of stairs leading to an upstairs area right there. I know it's hard to see, but under this vine used to be an old bench, a metal and wood bench that they could sit on. There's actually multiple of them. This was a bench at one time, so is this, and another one here. If you look over back here, it's a bunch of the old bunk beds, the actual bunk beds from the boys' home. It's a very, very hot day, so of course I'm having to be mindful of snakes. But check out these old bunk beds. I mean, there has to be 20 or 30 of them at least in here. It's been sitting here empty for a very, very long time. At its peak in the 1960s, as many as 500 boys were housed, beaten, and raped right here at this place. There's some more of the bunk beds here in this first room. Here's a bunch of old mats and filing cabinets, wood benches. It's not hard to imagine standing here that some of the most horrible things happened right here. You just get an eerie feeling standing in here. This was a restroom area. Here's the sinks and shower rooms and toilets over there. There's an entrance to a lower level right there that's completely covered in vine. I wonder if this is the basement where all the rapes occurred, the rape dungeon as they called it. And it looks like the stairs going up are also completely covered. Across the road there is an old administrative building. Essentially it was another part of the boys' home. There's the front of the building we were just in. And this one over here appears to be the exact same thing, just a lot more trashed. Sitting off over here is an old church building. This one seems to be in way better shape than the other buildings were, than the actual residential buildings. The people at the school said that that over the years, people doing drugs or vagrants started moving in to the church and destroying it on the inside. You see the fence line off to our left here. This was the fence line for the boys' home. Everything inside of the fence, all of it belonged to the Florida School for Boys. This area back here now belongs to the school board, and they use it for maintenance offices. But this was also all part of the boys' home. We can't go any further than this, but all of these buildings were workshops where all the boys were forced to work. There was a 6-year-old boy who died because he was sent to work, basically. The Arthur G. Dozier School for Boys, where all these atrocious things happened, took up both sides of the road. As you can see, all this on the opposite side of the road, this is all part of the boys' home. They built a walkway to get from one side of the road to the other so they could interact with both places. They have it fenced off so we can't get through it because they don't want you in the other side. We can't get any further than this, but that's it. That is the boys' home. Because they have it blocked off, because it is an active crime scene, what I've done is I've driven around all the way around the property as much as I could. I found a dirt road back here behind. If you look behind me here, you can see there's the water tower. I wanted somewhere close enough that I could launch the Mavic and get up above it to try to see what it looks like now. And I think this is about the closest spot that I can get. They used this small white building, they called it the White House. This is where they were tortured at. If you were sent to the White House, you were sent to a small room that had a bunch of different cages in it that they essentially were locked inside of, cramped with no room, and they were taken out of the cages only to be beaten, raped, tortured, whatever the guards wanted to do to them.
A lot of good boys went in this White House, but a lot more Charlie Mansons walked back out than did good boys, and that is absolutely true.
I will say this, despite many investigations over the last couple of years, no one has been held accountable for the atrocities committed here or the deaths. However, the state of Florida did apologize to the victims.
The sexual abuse at that school was rampant. I personally was molested by a medical doctor.
Today, a step towards closure. Surrounded by other victims, lawmakers finally uttered the words Dozier survivors hope to hear.
I cannot say with enough heartfelt remorse that it's taken this long for a legislature with all the evidence that is before us to come forth and apologize for what has to be one of the blackest moments on our state's history.
The history at this place is amazingly incredible, and I stumbled upon this place by accident. I was actually going somewhere else when I ran across this place, and I stopped and I asked what it was and was able to research the history right there on the side of the road. It's incredible, but they don't like a whole lot of people around there digging into it and asking questions, I can tell you that. So if you're gonna come, make sure you come on a weekend when there's not a lot of people around. That is gonna do it for this episode on the Florida School for Boys. I want to thank you all for watching. I'll see you again tomorrow, and I hope you have a